one channel is, so for example, television channels send the signals, and at the other end, the televisions receives the signal, and we can see it on the screen. Okay, in this process, there are some standards they used, because if whatever we say, if other people understand, then only the communication will be made. Otherwise, the person's language is different, and the receivers, the who is the speaker's language is different, and the receivers may not understand. The communication will not be established. Right. Same way, the digital technology also, the sender and receiver should have a same compatibility. Okay, whenever the signals sent by the sender, the receiver, here the receiver is the television, right? So there are some standards which can be communicated with the other devices. For example, if I made a film with the one camera, and it may not be played on the television channel, because their compatibility is not suit. Sorry. Sorry. So same way, if I made a film in a different format and it is not played with the DVD player, because their compatibility not matching. Okay. For this, so in India, we have one standard, technical standard, that is called PAL. PAL. PAL standard. These are called broadcasting standards. That means the sender and receiver has the same compatibility, so that whatever the sender sends, the receiver can understand and easily convert into the whatever format they have. For example, I sent a, for example, see here, actually before that, we'll discuss. There are basically three types of standards in the world. In India, we use PAL standard. PAL standard is, it is a technically the devices, technically what is happening inside the TV and DVD player and transmitter, receiver. So they have certain rules and regulations inside the devices. So whatever the sender sends, easily understand by the receiver. So here there are three standards. One in India we use a PAL standard, phase alternating line. Phase alternating line. This is the standard. In this standard, we use, for example, I want to send a 1 minute movie or video. So everybody knows 1 second of movie is made up of 25 frames. Okay, 25 still photos makes one second movie and a motion picture. Okay, so same way, if it is a 2 minutes, we can calculate how many frames we require. For a second, 25 frames. For 10 seconds, 250 frames. Like that. Are you getting? So here, so just a little bit technically, technical tests involved in this transmission. So here, the sender records 25 frames in a second. That should be understood by the receiver also. That means the output device. Okay. So TV also has a capability to understand the 25 frames. That is called PAL standard. Even our mobile phone has same standards. So whenever you go into the settings, you'll find PAL standard, PAL standard, PAL standards, or oblique NTSC ani untundi. You can observe it in your mobile phone also. So by default, whatever devices made for India, they are basically in a PAL standard. What is the PAL standard? In the PAL standard, 25 frames per second. అంటే ఒక వీడియో చేయాలంటే 25 frames ఒక సెకండ్ లో. But it is different in America. So American standards are different, or Indian standards are different. So India and like a European countries, some European countries, usually British colonial countries use PAL standard. PAL ante PAL, phase alternating line. This is the standard name. Okay. In this, there will be 25 frames per second and 576 lines. So I will draw one. So what happens? I'm sharing for that. So I can draw it. See, in a PAL standard, PAL, this is called phase alternating line. Alternating line. In a PAL standard, the frames per second is, we simply call it a FPS, frames per second. 25 frames will be there, one standard. Second point is 576 lines. That means this is a TV, right? So in a horizontally, ఇది 720 ఉంటుంది, ఇది 576. In a horizontally, the TV is divided into 576 lines. Okay, the image picture is divided into 576 lines. So this is the HD standard only. HD, we are talking standard definition. So nowadays everybody in the home use HD or full HD, or nowadays everybody using UHD also, right? Ultra high definition, full definition, HD, high definition, standard definition. In the standard definition, we are, so PAL standard is basically analog signals. Analog signals. The analog signals, they use 25 frames. Even digital also, they use only 25 frames, but the lines are changing. So if it is HD, there will be 720, or HD, full HD, 1080, or 2160. In if it is UHD, that means in every frame, అంటే ఒక, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏమనుకున్నాం, 1 second మూవీ కావాలనుకుంటే, అంటే మోషన్ పిక్చర్ వీడియో కావాలనుకుంటే, ఇట్ ఈస్ మేడ్ అప్ ఆఫ్ 25 ఫొటోస్. ఫ్రేమ్స్ మీన్స్ ఫోటో ఓన్లీ. 25 ఫొటోస్ ని ఒక సెకండ్ లో అరేంజ్ చేసి, ఇఫ్ యూ ప్లే, ఇట్ గివ్స్ ఏ మోషన్, అంటే కొంచెం మోషన్ కదిలినట్టు అనిపిస్తుంది మనకి. ఓకే, సో ఇన్ హెచ్డి స్టాండర్డ్ దెర్ మే బి 576 లైన్స్. 720, ఇది ఎట్లా అంటే స్టాండర్డ్ వచ్చేసి 720 into 576 lines, and it will refresh with a 50 heads. Okay, ante 50 times it scans. So what is the scanning? Ante again, go for definition. Scanning means how picture forms in a television. Anybody has an idea? Any idea? Ekla picture ekla form avutundante, for example, I want to display A in a television screen. Okay, so forget about photos and everything. Later we come back to photos. So I want to display A on the screen. So what happens in the first, this TV is divided into, if it is a SD, the 576 lines to 720 lines. అంటే that means here it also divides into 720 lines. ఇది 720 lines ఉంటాయి. ఓకే, అంటే 576 lines. So I want to display A on the screen. What happens? So these lines are not visible. Okay, just this portion, wherever this appears. అంటే ఫస్ట్ లైన్ ఇట్లా వస్తుంది, ఇట్లా 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 ఇలా వస్తుంది. అంటే by looking at the screen we will realize that this is forming as a okay. Whenever there is a number of lines, scanning lines, if the number of lines are increased or more, the quality will be higher. అందుకే for example in HD standard the picture quality is less and HD somewhat better than HD. In a full HD it's a better quality. In a UHD and 4K TV, so the quality is higher. That means number of lines are increasing. And not only that, in a standard 50 heads per seconds. 50 heads means, so to form a one frame of photo, it scans 50 times in a second. ఒక సెకండ్ లో 50 టైమ్స్ స్కాన్ చేస్తుంది. అంటే 50 టైమ్స్ ద రిఫ్రెషింగ్, ఇట్స్ కాల్డ్ రిఫ్రెష్ రేట్. ఇప్పుడు nowadays the mobile phones, so usually the OnePlus, iPhone, even Samsung also advertising. So refresh rate is 120 megahertz. Have you observed this in advertisements? Because the number of times the scanning, it scans in a number of times increases, the picture quality will be more, and the smoothness, the fluidness, it is called a fluid motion. అంటే జర్కి రాకుండా ఇట్స్ the motion will be a good fluid motion. It's called a fluid motion. అంటే number of how many times it scans in a on the screen, అంటే ఇట్లా in a 1 second it scans 120 times. అర్థమవుతుంది ఏమన్నా? Are you getting this? A bit technical, but if you understand it will be very easy to remember all these points. Hello
sir.
ఇప్పుడు ఇది అర్థమవుతుందా మీకు? ఆర్ యూ గెటింగ్ దిస్ పాయింట్స్? అంటే స్కానింగ్ హౌ ఇట్స్ అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 1 సెకండ్ వీడియో కావాలనుకోండి, యాక్చువల్లీ ఇట్ డివైడ్ ఇంటూ 25 ఫ్రేమ్స్, 25 ఫొటోస్ ఉంటాయి ఇలా. ఓకే, అండ్ టు ఫార్మ్ one frame, it's a photo means a frame here. Frame అంటేనే ఫోటో. టు ఫార్మ్ one photo, it scans in a PAL standard 50 times it scans. The heads అంటే అదే. ఓకే, 50 టైమ్స్ ఇలా స్కాన్ చేస్తుంది, పైనుంచి కిందికి ఇట్లా స్కాన్ చేసుకుంటూ వస్తుంది. అండ్ అగైన్ ఇలా 2 types ఆఫ్ స్కానింగ్ ఉంటుంది, ఇంటర్లేస్డ్ అండ్ ప్రోగ్రెసివ్, 2 types ఉంటుంది. అది అంత డీప్ అవసరం లేదు మీకు. సో ఇప్పుడు ఎప్పుడైనా మీరు టీవీ స్టాండర్డ్ చూస్తే ఇక్కడ P అని ఉంటుంది, 1080x P, 2160p అని ఉంటుంది ఎట్ ద ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద నెంబర్. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ప్రోగ్రెసివ్ స్కానింగ్ అనమాట. సో ఇట్ స్కాన్స్ 50 times in a second. Sorry, one frame ni 50 times it scans. అంటే 25 frames ని ఎన్నిసార్లు స్కాన్ చేస్తుంది చూడండి. To form one second video, it create there will be a 25 photos at frames. Photos anna frames anna okate, single frame is called a photo. Frames, one frame, 25 frames per second, and the lines will be 576. Okay, we are not mentioning the vertical lines, only we are talking about horizontal lines. Okay, so in a 576 lines, in a single line there may be a 720 pixels. అట్లా కదా, కొంచెం డిఫికల్ట్ ఉంది కదా. So just to remember these points. PAL in the PAL standard, 25 frames per second and 576 lines. అంటే it is means 720 into 576 అని. అంటే we are now only mentioning this part. Okay, and third one is 50 heads. Okay, 50 heads per second. 50 times it scans, beginning to end. Even whenever you switch on your television in the earlier, the horizontal bars will appear, right? Horizontal bars itla skin ayedi in the starting. That means it's scanning. So it is searching for whenever TV is searching for the signals. So it gives some bars moving from the top to bottom. అబ్జర్వ్ చేశారా? మీ టీవీ ఆన్ చేసినప్పుడు సిగ్నల్ లేకుంటే పైనుంచి కిందికి ఇట్లా ఒక హారిజంటల్ లైన్స్ స్కాన్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాయి, తిరుగుతూ ఉంటాయి, పైకి కిందికి పైనుంచి కిందికి. ఓకే, దట్ మీన్స్ అట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ స్కానింగ్ ఫర్ ద సిగ్నల్స్. ఓకే, అది 50 times in a 1 second. 1 second. And it also use amplitude modulation, AM. It use quadrature amplitude modulation. That means the transmission technology they use amplitude modulation. These are the PAL standards. In a PAL standard, they use 25 frames per second, 576 lines, and 50 hertz per second. Even so, one thing you can remember: whenever the frames are 25, it will become a double the heads. For example, in NTSC the another standard, PAL is the another standard, and one more standard is CCAM. Sequential color a memory. It's a French word. If you convert it into English, that means sequential color with memory. Okay, this is another standard. This standard is used in India, okay, and parts of Western European countries, and this standard use America, in North America, usually North America, like American country and some countries. Basically, will mention only America because America uses NTSC format. This CCAM is used in France and its colonial countries, in African countries. Even Japan is also using CCAM only. Japan also use CCAM standard. In the NTSC standard, same. So instead of 25 frames in a second NTSC, they use 25 frames per second. Yes. Okay. Instead of 576 lines, they use 480 lines. 720 into 480 lines. Okay, this part. And third one is, so whenever if you are counting the heads, so it will be double the frame rate. Okay, that means 60 heads per second, and it uses quadrature amplitude only. Quadrature amplitude modulation. So amplitude modulation. So this is the transmission technology. How you are coding, you are transmitting signals from one location to another. They use a quadrature amplitude modulation. Okay, these standards are used in NTSC. So another format is CCAM. The CCAM, it is the same as the PAL standard only. Like it uses 25 frames per second, 576 lines. Third one is 50 hertz per second. And instead of quadrature modulation, they use frequency modulation. This is the only difference between PAL standard PAL standard uses quadrature amplitude modulation. CCAM uses frequency modulation. So what is the difference? Here, if you observe this one, the number of frames per second is more. Number of seconds per frames per second is more. The picture, the smoothness. సో ఇప్పుడు మనం స్లో మోషన్ లో తీసినట్టు వస్తుంది ఎక్కడ ఇన్ ఎన్టీఎస్సి ఫార్మాట్ లో, అంటే చాలా స్లో మోషన్ లో ఉన్నట్టు ఉంటుంది. బట్ అడ్వాంటేజ్ విత్ ద PAL standard is number of lines. If the number of lines increases, the quality, picture quality will be increased. The resolution will be increased. So ఇక్కడ ఏంది 480 lines ఉన్నాయి, అక్కడ 576 ఉన్నాయి. సో నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ లైన్స్ అంటే నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ రిజల్యూషన్ ఇది ఇంక్రీజెస్. ఇక్కడేమో స్మూత్నెస్ ఉంటుంది ఎక్కువ ఎన్టీఎస్సిలో, అండ్ ఇన్ పాల్లో నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ లైన్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి. సో ఇట్ గివ్స్ ఏ రిజల్యూషన్, better quality visual. NTSC gives a better smoothness of the visual. Okay, so they both use the quadrature amplitude, okay, for transmitting the signal from one location to another receiver. But the advantage with the CCAM is, so it uses same as PAL standard technology only, 25 frames, 576, 50 hertz. But the transmission, so whenever these PAL standard signals are transmitted from one location to another location, the tint, అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ద కలర్ కరెక్షన్, అంటే మనం ఒకలాంటి సిగ్నల్ పంపిస్తే outer receiver will become receiver receives in a tint color, that means orange color or bluish color. Okay, that is the problem with the quadrature amplitude modulation. So to rectify that one, the CCAM uses a frequency modulation to transmit the signals. Okay, these are the standards used in for example, even in India, whatever product you buy, even camera, television, DVD player, okay, even your set-top box, all are PAL standard only. So you can open your mobile phone, even you can see the video recording settings. You will find this PAL. Even TV also, when you go for settings, the standards, you need to adjust it in the PAL standard. By default, in Indian TVs, all are PAL standards. Okay, the sender also, the channels, new channels also sends the PAL standard signals, and the receiver easily receives the signals. So what happens whenever you are working in India, but you want to send your signal to the American people? So earlier when I was working in TV9, so TV9 uses PAL standards because it is in Indian standards. Okay, in American people want to receive a TV9 signals, they are using NTSC signals, right? So for that, they need to convert the PAL signal into NTSC, and then only they can watch on their televisions. So earlier, the TVs made for America won't be worked in India. Nowadays, the universal converter has built in the TV sets, because to rectify this problem. Some TVs are made for America, some TVs are made for India. Samsung, for example, take an example. Samsung made for TVs, Sony, or for example, they want to sell it in America, they need to made it in a NTSC format standards. For India, they need to set it in the PAL standard. To rectify this, they are using universal standard, universal converter. If you are using in India, it automatically converts into the PAL standard. If you are using it in America, it also converts into the NTSC format. These are the formats, broadcasting standards all over the world. So these are the standard signals. Okay, standard signals. Nowadays, everybody using digital signals, right? Our TV set-top box are converted into digital standards. In a PAL standard, nowadays we are using DVB, Digital Video Broadcasting Standards. In the NTSC format, they use ATSC standards. PAL. This means these are the digital signals. Even 25 frames, 50 hertz. Okay. And instead of 576 lines, you are using now 720 lines or 1080 lines or progressive format. So because HD or 720 lines. HD standard, what is the HD standard? HD ante standard ఎంత తెలుసా? HD అంటే 1280 to 720. Full HD 1920 into 1080. UHD, Ultra HD, the double of the 3840 into 2160. These are the standards. Okay, these are the actually aspect ratio in a digital standard. What we learned in the earlier, the digital standard is 16:9 aspect ratio. అంటే 16 inches లెంత్ ఉంటుంది, సారీ ఇట్లా హారిజంటల్ ఉంటుంది, 9 inches ఏమో వర్టికల్ ఉంటుంది. ఇది 16:9 ఇలా ఉంటుంది టీవీ. సో ఎర్లియర్ 4:5 4:3 అనుకున్నాం కదా. 4:3 ఉంటే ఇది 4 ఉంటుంది, ఇది 3 ఉంటుంది. ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ 4:3, nowadays everybody using every channel because they are using digital signals. The aspect ratio is 16:9. Okay, these are the standards. So whenever you want to use your devices, so by default, Indian products, Indian digital technology, all are in a PAL standard. So you need not to worry. But whenever you are buying equipment from the US or France, so you need to check whether these are compatible with the PAL standard or not. Then only that devices works. That devices can easily receive signals in a PAL standard. Okay. అంటే మనకి ఇప్పుడు కోడెక్ ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుంది చూడండి. కొన్నిసార్లు కొన్ని ఫిల్మ్స్ మన టీవీలో వర్క్ చేయవు, ఆర్ కొన్నిసార్లు కొన్ని మూవీస్ మన టీవీలో ప్లే కావు. బికాస్ ద కంపాటబిలిటీ, దట్ కంపాటబిలిటీ సూటింగ్ టు ద PAL స్టాండర్డ్ ఆర్ నాట్, అంటే డిఫరెన్స్. ఓకే, దీస్ ఆర్ ద different broadcasting standards. So everything is in our sequential and PAL, NTSC, CCAP. These are the 3 broadcasting standards used in the world. So in India, we use PAL standard. So you can write, if you're asking a question, what are the standards, broadcast standards used in India? Give it details about it. So in India, we use the PAL standard. The parameters for the PAL standard is 576 lines per lines and 25 frames per second and 50 hertz per second. And it uses quadrature amplitude modulation for broadcasting signals. These are the 4 parameters used in the PAL standard. Same way, it is, again you may ask to compare with the NTSC with the PAL. PAL ku NTSC ki compare cheyamante, you can compare number of frames per second, megahertz, hertz per second, and lines per lines, and the modulation technology, quadrature or frequency. Okay, that is the broadcasting standards, different broadcast standards. Okay, and basically production of any video or film, what we require basically, Basically, we require a camera to record video. To capture the audio, we need a microphone, right? So if you are you have a microphone and you have a camera, but lighting is not properly. It's a dark concondi. You can't see through your camera. So for that, we need a lights. Lights may be artificial light or natural light. The natural light is like the sun or moon or even stars. These are called natural lights, natural light sources. Artificial lights are lights. Okay, like floodlights or spotlights they used in creating a different mood or sequence in a film. Okay, we'll discuss about the camera. Camera, what is the camera? Camera converts the optical image into electric signal and stores it in a chip. Earlier it was not chip, it was a tape cassette. Nowadays, everything is stored on a memory card. Okay, so whatever sees through lenses, the camera captures and converts it into the signals. Signals means electrical signals. It is a digital. Every day, all cameras nowadays are digital cameras only. So that converts into the signals, electrical signals, and stores in a chip. Whenever you want to see that, the signals will be retrieved and you are displaying the photo or video. Okay, what is the video? Video is made up of 25 frames. Ante video lo no motion. If you observe in a 25 frames, so there won't be any motion in a photo. If you play 25 frames in a 1 second, okay, that will give you a motion. Ante movement is ante adaniki. So there won't be any motion in a video. Okay. Otherwise, so if you play number of frames in a second, that will give you a slow motion. If the frames are less, that will give a jerky movement. Okay. So based on the uses of a camera is the categorized with 3 categories. One is a studio camera and ENG and EAP cameras. And third one is the consumer cameras. Studio cameras are used for production of studio-based programs. So it is a very high in quality. It captures in a high quality video and it controlled through the central room. So for example, whenever you are watching in a cricket stadium, the camera is different. You observed this one? Camera different undi, square type lo undi. That is called studio cameras. So their lenses and they are powerful cameras. They can capture minute details of the details in the picture. Okay, you can go to the longest zoom. Okay, and you can capture and it everything. So the functions and independently as well as controlled by the central room. Okay, and it's a purely professional camera. Studio cameras are purely professional cameras. They are high quality. The picture quality is high. But you can't move here and there. The problem is studio cameras are big in size. Size low. So you can't move here and there. So they are fixed in a pedestal or tripod. Okay, once the handheld ELM, hand chetla pattukundi ELM, studio cameras, they are fixed on a pedestal or tripod. Pedestal ante oka stand untundi itla kinda base undi you can increase or decrease the height of the pedestal. Adi. So tripod everybody knows which has 3 legs. This is called a tripod. So you have to fix your camera. Okay, camera on the tripod. This is a studio camera. So this it has a flexibility of you can change the lenses also. Okay, various lenses you can fix. Whenever you required, you can different you can change the lenses in a studio camera, and it has built-in functionality. Everything is on the built-in. built in, as well as it's controlled by the central room. Okay. In a cricket production, if for example, channel is covering a cricket match, so it is centrally controlled as well as manually the camera person has to operate. Okay, this is a studio camera. This is used for studio production as well as the high quality picture. But second one is ENG and EAP cameras. ENG means electronic news gathering, and EAP means electronic field production. So, for example, these new channels in Telugu channels use camera persons are sent to shoot some videos or protest or press meets. They use the CNG and EAP cameras. They are like studio cameras, but compared to studio cameras, they are less in a performance. But they can be used for studio production, studio. They can be used in a studio as well as in the field. Okay, so and they can be taken to the field as well as they can use it in the studio also. Okay, the compared to the size of the ENG and EAP cameras are less compared to studio cameras. Studio camera పెద్దగా ఉంటుంది. ENG and EAP camera you can handle manually. You can handle the camera. Okay, this sometimes the CNG and EAP cameras are also used for the production in a studio also. For example, Star Sports అనుకోండి, they use to cover cricket match, they use studio cameras. TV9 ఉంది అనుకోండి, TV9 లేకుంటే NTV లోకల్ ఛానల్ అనుకోండి, they use ENG and EAP cameras only. అంటే they are expensive. Studio cameras are expensive and their quality is also good, but they are expensive, highly expensive. Okay, ENG EAP cameras are used in a production. So this quality is enough for local channels. Okay, consumer cameras. Another type of cameras are consumer, which everybody can use. Video camera ఉంది అనుకోండి, everybody అంటే their controls and everything, switches, everything on the camera itself. So you can adjust. Okay, you can adjust from a camera itself. On the camera, they have a white balance, they have a gain. Okay, they have a filters, everything on the camera itself. So you can control. But in the studio camera, they can be controlled through centrally located studio. ఇక్కడికి అన్ని కనెక్ట్ అయి ఉంటాయి. ఓకే, ఇంకో కెమెరా ఇక్కడ ఉంది అనుకోండి. ఓకే, ఈ కెమెరా is also connected to the centrally located studio, and from here the signals are the quality gani and settings will be adjusted from the centrally located studio. But in the consumer and EAP cameras, they have their controls on camera itself, so the camera person can adjust and they can be used for the production. So in local channels, they use only the CNG and EAP cameras. So this consumer cameras are used for the public purpose. Anybody can use this consumer cameras. These both are professional cameras. Studio cameras and ENG EAP cameras are professional purpose. They use professional purpose. So these were public purpose. Okay, these are the cameras. Three types of cameras. Same way, ఇంకొకటి ఏంటిది, మైక్రోఫోన్స్ ఆర్ మైక్. కెమెరాస్ ఆర్ 3 types. వన్ ఈజ్ ఇది మేము గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. Cameras are 3 types. One is studio camera, ENG and EAP, and consumer cameras. Same way in the microphones also. Microphones. So before that, what is the next? Microphone slides. Sorry, microphones with the So camera function is optical image ni మన కళ్ళ కనిపించేదాన్ని convert into electrical signals, right? Electrical signals. Okay, optically electrical current AC chip లో store చేస్తుంది, right? That is the camera. What is the function of microphone? ఇది vibrations ని converted into electrical signals and stores in a chip. ఇది దీని function. అంటే sounds ని, sound is made up of vibrations, అంతే కదా? Sound ఎట్లా వస్తుంది? Vibration తోటి వస్తుంది. So that will be converted into electrical signal and stored in a chip. That is the function of the microphone. So based on the patterns, how it picks and how the quality of the microphone is divided into 3 types. One is, sorry, one second. So microphones are divided into 2 categories. 2 categories, what is the type? One is a pickup pattern. Pickup pattern. One is a standard quality. Quality or standards. Okay. And again, pickup pattern is divided into 3 types. Pickup pattern. One is, so this is a microphone. Pickup, how it picks? If it is a unidirectional. Unidirectional microphones ఉంటాయి. అంటే it captures from only front side. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మాత్రమే సిగ్నల్ క్యాప్చర్ అవుతాయి. అంటే whenever the source of sound ఉందనుకోండి, that type you should place your camera into this type. ఈ సైడ్ కి పెట్టాలి. Then only it captures. For example, source of sound is ఇక్కడ నుంచి వస్తుంది అనుకోండి, so it won't captures as ఈ ఫ్రంట్ సైడ్ వచ్చినట్టు క్యాప్చర్ చేయదు. So this is called unidirectional mic. So whenever when to use this one, అంటే for example in a group of crowd లో, if you want to collect the voice of the person, that time you can use this unidirectional microphone so that it won't capture the ambience or noise made by other people. అంటే ఈ డైరెక్షన్ లో వచ్చేదంతా క్యాప్చర్ చేయదు. ఓకే, ఈ డైరెక్షన్ అంతా వచ్చేది క్యాప్చర్ చేయదు. ఓన్లీ దిస్ డైరెక్షన్ ఏదైతే వస్తుందో అది మాత్రమే క్యాప్చర్ చేస్తుంది. అప్పుడు యూ కెన్ పికప్ ద quality voice from the person. So that requirement fulfills the unidirectional microphone. Second microphone type is bidirectional. And it captures from the front as well as the other side of the microphone. This is used, so it will the microphone bidirectional, and it captures from this side and this side. This microphone placed between the 2 persons. Ikkada oka person they can talk, or ikkada oka person they can talk and discussions. So this from this side and from this side, they captures both directions. That is called a bidirectional microphone. Okay, and third one is omnidirectional. In the omnidirectional, so this is a microphone, right? So it captures from all the directions. Okay, it captures signals from all the directions. That is called omnidirectional microphone. So when to use this omnidirectional microphone? For example, there is a music concert. Musical instruments play చేస్తున్నారు ఒక స్టూడియోలో ఆర్ somewhere concert lo. So there are 5 different types of instruments are playing by the professionals. So that time if you place it in the center, it captures from all the directions. Okay, all the directions. That time they use omnidirectional microphone. Got it? So these are the pickup pattern. Microphones are categorized based on the pickup pattern, how it picks signals from the different sources or directions. Okay, another type is these are based on the pickup patterns, And next one is the standard and quality. One is dynamic microphone, dynamic mic. Second one is condenser mic. Third one is ribbon mic. This dynamic mic is a rugged one. Rugged one ante rough and tough ga. You can use it for rough and tough. But it picks nominal quality signals. Very sensitive. It is not very too much of sensitive, but it captures. It works. Public address system, like even reporters publicly use GCT. They are dynamic mics. They are rough and tough. They can use it for rough and tough signals. Rough and tough conditions. Okay, but this condenser mic is very sensitive to pick up the signals. And if it is overloaded with the signals, overloaded with the sound, okay, it will damage. Very sensitive. It captures some minute details, and it requires the power, extra power, and a power source. For that, they use a small battery in the microphone, or you can directly connect to the computer or power source that gives a phantom power. 45 phantom power annaru eppadana 45 plus phantom power అని ఉంటుంది microphones. If it is requires, it is a condenser mic. It requires a power from external sources, either through battery or cable. దానికి పవర్ ఉంటేనే అది వర్క్ చేస్తుంది. అంటే కరెంట్ సెపరేట్గా ఉండాలి మళ్ళీ. సో దిస్ డైనమిక్ mic won't requires. So if you connect it to the audio console directly, it works. But it requires a special power. It's called a phantom power. Okay, phantom power. Phantom power is required for ribbon mic. Sorry, condenser mic. So another one is a ribbon mic. So a ribbon mic is like a condenser mic. It is a sensitive. It is also very sensitive to rugged one. అంటే మనం ఇష్టం వచ్చిన వాడితే అట్లనే పాడైపోతుంది. Very sensitive, and it's the quality. It captures minute details. ఇది కూడా సేమ్ లైక్ condenser mic. ఇది కూడా minute details క్యాప్చర్ చేస్తుంది, బట్ ఇట్ వోంట్ రిక్వైర్ phantom power. Phantom power అవసరం లేదు. Okay, this is used in recording vocals. Singers use this condenser as well as the ribbon mics. Okay, you can. So this is the example of dynamic mic. Dynamic mic. This is dynamic mic example, and this is the condenser mic. Condenser mic, and this is also ribbon mic. Ribbon mic. These are the examples of. So, are you able to see these photos? చూస్తున్నారా? కనిపిస్తున్నాయా మీకు? హలో.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is the example of dynamic mic. This is used for rough and tough condition. In a rough and tough condition also, but it works well. Even if it is overloaded with the sound, ఒక పెద్ద సౌండ్ దగ్గర పెట్టాం అనుకోండి, it will sustain. ఆ పెద్ద సౌండ్ లో కూడా అంటే I mean it won't damage. But if you place in a like a bomb blast, right, or big sounds, okay, it will damage itself. It's a very sensitive, okay, condenser mic. And also ribbon mic is also very sensitive, but it captures the minute details. అందుకే దాని use is it captures minute details, small details కూడా it captures. So these are the microphones. So microphones can be divided into two types. First one is based on a pickup pattern, and second one is standard or built quality. Actually, it is called built quality. So built quality, pickup pattern, and second one is the built quality. Based on the built quality also divided. Even pickup patterns. So again, mala meeku doubt రావచ్చు. So pickup pattern is different and built quality is different. Even that also, ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇది ఉంది, డైనమిక్ మైక్ ఉంది. ఇది వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్? ఇది మళ్ళీ అగైన్ ఇప్పుడు కండెన్సర్ మైక్ ఉంది కదా. సో కండెన్సర్ మైక్ లో ఇది యూని డైరెక్షనల్, బై డైరెక్షనల్, ఓమ్ని డైరెక్షనల్ అనేది మళ్ళీ డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటుంది. సో కండెన్సర్ మైక్ ఇస్ కండెన్సర్ మైకే. అగైన్ కండెన్సర్ మైక్ లో పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్ ఉంటుంది. హౌ ఇట్ పిక్స్ ద సిగ్నల్స్ ఫ్రమ్ డిఫరెంట్ డైరెక్షన్స్. అంటే ఓన్లీ టాప్ ఎండ్ తీసుకుంటుందా, లేకుంటే ఈ డైరెక్షన్ ఒకటే తీసుకుంటుందా, ఆర్ ఆల్ డైరెక్షన్ తీసుకుంటుందా అనేది పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్స్ డిపెండ్ అయి ఉంటుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ యూని డైరెక్షన్ అనుకోండి. సి ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ మే బి సో ఓన్లీ దిస్ డైరెక్షన్ తీసుకుంటుంది అనుకో సిగ్నల్, ఇది యూని డైరెక్షనల్ అయిపోతుంది. యూని అంటే సింగిల్ డైరెక్షన్. ఓకే. సో ఇఫ్ ఇట్ క్యాప్చర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ సైడ్ ఆల్సో అంటే అప్పుడు బై డైరెక్షనల్ అవుతుంది. బై డైరెక్షనల్ డైనమిక్ మైక్. ఓకే. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ క్యాప్చర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ఆల్ ద డైరెక్షన్స్ అనుకోండి, ఇది ఓమ్ని డైరెక్షన్ డైనమిక్ మైక్ అవుతుంది. అర్థమైందా? అంటే పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్ బట్టి వీ కెన్ పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్ బట్టి బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద పికప్ ప్యాటర్న్ ఆల్సో ద మైక్స్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్. అండ్ బిల్ట్ క్వాలిటీని ఈవెన్ దిస్ కండెన్సర్ మైక్ ఉంది అనుకోండి, ఇది కూడా ఓమ్ని కావచ్చు, ఓమ్ని డైరెక్షన్ కావచ్చు, బై డైరెక్షన్ కావచ్చు, ఆర్ యూని డైరెక్షన్ కావచ్చు. అంటే మన రిక్వైర్మెంట్ బట్టి. సో వెదర్ ఇట్ క్యాప్చర్స్ యూని డైరెక్షనల్. బేసికల్లీ కండెన్సర్ మైక్, రిబ్బన్ మైక్ ఆర్ యూజ్డ్ ఇన్ ద స్టూడియో యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ఇన్ ద కన్సర్ట్ కదా. ఐదర్ దే ఆర్ ఇన్ if it is used for the studio అనుకోండి, for vocal recording, for voice over and single solo singers, అప్పుడు దే యూజ్ యూనిడైరెక్షనల్ మైక్రోఫోన్. అంటే ఓన్లీ ఇట్ క్యాప్చర్ ఫ్రమ్ వన్ డైరెక్షన్, అంటే వన్ పర్సన్ నుంచి రికార్డ్ చేస్తుంది. సో అదర్ సౌండ్స్ విల్ బి క్యాన్సిల్డ్. అంటే నాయిస్ క్యాన్సిలేషన్ ఉంటుంది కదా, టెక్నాలజీ నాయిస్ క్యాన్సిలేషన్ బట్టి అదర్ సౌండ్స్ అన్ని తీసుకోదు. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ మైక్రోఫోన్స్ యూజ్డ్ ఇన్ ఎ టెలివిజన్ ప్రొడక్షన్. ఈవెన్ మళ్ళీ అగైన్ ది మైక్రోఫోన్స్ ఆర్ మళ్ళీ డివైడెడ్ ఇంటూ వైర్డ్ అండ్ వైర్లెస్. వైర్డ్ మైక్ ఉంటాయి, వైర్లెస్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇది వైర్డ్ కావచ్చు, వైర్లెస్ కావచ్చు. సో ఇట్ కెన్ ట్రాన్స్మిట్ సిగ్నల్స్ వైర్లెస్లీ అనుకోండి, అది వైర్లెస్ కండెన్సర్ మైక్. So these are the microphones. Again, the next in the topic is lights. Lights, why you use lights? The lights are important. The lighting is important to capture the image. Okay. So lighting helps the camera. If the light is there, then only we can see the things. Okay. The light, if light is proper, then only camera captures the proper visual. Okay. And even sometimes, for example, you want to shoot a horror movie. That time you require in a dark situation. That means low light. Takko light unnappudu will shoot in a horror movies. For that, you want to create some mood. In the early morning, you want to refresh. Hello? Okay, again, so I'll continue. So lights. So first మనం ఏం చేసాము, కెమెరాస్లో కెమెరాలు గురించి మాట్లాడడం. దెన్ మైక్రోఫోన్, సింప్లీ అబ్రివేషన్ ఫర్ మైక్రోఫోన్ ఇస్ మైక్. అండ్ దెన్ lights. So lights also divided into two types. One is floodlights. Second one is spotlights. So what is a floodlight? Floodlight is which disseminate the light to entire area. For example, tube light is the floodlight. Example of it evenly distribute the light to all directions. That is called floodlight. So it even in a cricket stadium also we call it as a floodlights, because it evenly distribute the light on the entire location, the particular location. That is called a floodlight. So a spotlight this is a directional light. Directional means, for example, there is a flower here. Okay. I want to focus only on a particular this nectar of this flower ankondi. So instead of focusing the entire area, but I want to only focus on this particular part. For that, I use spotlight. And it's a directional light which can be focused on a specific subject or area or location. Example is in our household example is torchlight. Torchlight is a directional light. Okay, it focus only on a particular location. Okay, if you want to focus it on the face of the person, the torchlight can be used and focused on the particular face of the person only. If it is a floodlight ankondi, it's like a tube light or condenser by condensed this light ankondi, tungsten filament light. So that gives the entire location. Adi floodlight example, household example I am talking about. So in the studio or television production also, okay, there are different lights. So I will give you a brief examples. So these are the spotlights. Idi Fresnel, it is called Fresnel. Idi Fresnel antaradu. Fresnel అని ఉంటుంది, కానీ then it's called a Fresnel. This is silent. Fresnel light. So this light is used to focus, or it's a directional light. అంటే పర్టికులర్ లొకేషన్ లో లైట్ మాత్రమే ఉండాలనుకుంటే ఆ డైరెక్షన్ మాత్రమే సెట్ చేయొచ్చు దాన్ని. దిస్ వన్ ellipsoidal light. Ellipsoidal light అంటే, సో వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ వాంట్ టు ప్లేస్ వన్, ఇప్పుడు కట్ చేసింది ఒక స్టిక్కర్ వేసినాం అనుకోండి, ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ సబ్జెక్ట్, ఎట్లా అంటే ఐ వాంట్ టు క్రియేట్ ఏ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో ఒక డార్క్ ఇట్లా విండో టైప్ గ్రిల్స్ ఉన్నట్టు ఉండాలి. సో ఫర్ దట్ దిస్ లైట్ ఈస్ ప్లేస్డ్ అండ్ ఇన్ ఫ్రంట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ లైట్, సో దట్ స్టిక్కర్ విల్ బి ప్లేస్డ్. సో దట్ దాన్ని ఏమంటారంటే స్టిక్కర్స్ కాదు, ఇట్స్ నేమ్. సో అది ప్లే చేయగానే ద లైట్ కమ్స్ త్రూ దట్ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్లీ క్రియేట్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ I want to itla like I want to focus a grill on the wall. Itlanti oka ఇది కావాలా. So this type of I forgot its name. In front of this, it's placed, and once you switch on the light, it will give a shadow on the wall. Whatever the place is empty, that will give a light, and whatever that blocks the light, that will give the shadow on the light. That will create one. Actually, it is used for aesthetic type of kind of lighting. Whenever you want to some shadow on the face, sagam face కనిపించి సగం ఫేస్ కనబడ కూడా చేస్తారు చూడండి. ఆర్ ఆన్ ద ఫేస్ సమ్టైమ్స్ మూవీస్ లో మనం చూస్తాం, సమ్టైమ్స్ హాఫ్ ఫేస్ కనిపిస్తుంది, హాఫ్ ఫేస్ మీద లైనింగ్ కనిపిస్తుంది చూడండి, లైన్స్ లేకుంటే మనిషి మీద లైన్స్ కనబడ్డప్పుడు దట్ టైమ్ దే యూస్ ellipsoidal light. It is also directional light, it is also spotlight. But you can place, ఇప్పుడు మన టార్చ్ లైట్ ముంగట మనం ఏదైనా ఒక పేపర్తో కట్ చేసి దాన్ని ముంగట పెట్టాం అనుకోండి, దాట్ ఏదైతే ఎంటీ ప్లేస్ ఉందో ఆ ప్లేస్ నుంచి లైట్ వస్తుంది చూడండి. అదే సేమ్ వే ది ఎలిప్సాయిడ్ లైట్స్ ఆర్ యూజ్డ్. ఓకే, ఇది వన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్ ఎలిప్సోయిడల్ లైట్. ఇది ఎలిప్సోయిడల్ లైట్. ఇదే ఫస్ట్ ఫ్రెనెల్, ఇలా ఎస్ సైలెంట్, ఇట్స్ కాల్డ్ ఫ్రెనెల్ లైట్. అండ్ థర్డ్ వన్ is the follow spot light. Follow spot light అంటే this one. So if you want to focus on a particular person, this light follows the person, that is called a follow spot light. అది follow spot light అంటారు. If the person moves, the light also moves to following that particular person. అది follow spot. These are the spotlights. ఇక ఫ్లడ్ లైట్స్ అంటే you won't need any explanation because floodlights covers the entire area. సో ఫ్లడ్ లైట్స్ లో ఎల్ఈడీలు కావచ్చు, ట్యూబ్ లైట్స్. ఇఫ్ యూ ప్లేస్ 3 or 4 ట్యూబ్ లైట్స్, that will create a bank of tube lights. So that will give the entire area. That is the floodlight. Floodlight usually used for the lit the entire location. But the spotlights are used to focus on a particular subject or object. That is the difference. Okay, with this I am concluding. Okay, any doubts in lights or mics or cameras and microphones and lights? Any doubt quickly I can answer or wind up. ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా అడగండి. Okay, these are the different types of lights used in a television production. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for participating.